Welcome, my friends, to the Sage of Quay Radio Hour, your home for free and critical thinking, and I'm your host, Mike Williams. Tonight, my very special guest is Santos Bonacci. Santos is an expert in the field of syncretism. Syncretism encompasses many areas of esoteric study, including theology, astrotheology, natural science, astrology, and the ancient holy science of as above, so below. These teachings enable one to develop wisdom and enlightenment far beyond what the world currently has to offer. My conversation with Santos was wide-ranging as we discuss a multitude of topics, including, of course, syncretism, astrology, the flat earth, and the current state of humanity. And to kick our discussion off, I asked Santos about his ongoing issues with the corporate legal system, and here is what he had to say. You're still working through the legal issues. That the original number was up, did you say about $131,000? Was that the number?
Yeah, something like that, 133,000. So they reduced it to a third of that. It's about $45,000. So, and the matter is still outstanding. So it's up to me how I go about this. Now, if I make payments toward that, I'll be contributing to a fraudulent, illegitimate criminal system of people trafficking. And so, well, I'm going to have to make a stand. It's simple as that. I will have to make a stand against this system and perhaps, who knows, foresee going to jail again if the criminals do what they did to me last time. But I will still have, at least I'll have a clear conscience. I can't see myself paying that money, especially when it's the government who is the trustee and the fiduciary trustee of the trust system, and they should be the employees dealing with all settlements and balances and what have you. So there's crime going on, and since my case is so worldwide known, I think I'm going to make a nice little stand against the bar and against their crime, and notice them. So I'm reaching out to all the great law people out there as to the best way to do this, but I want to do that. I want to make it public, and I want to show people how to get out of the people trafficking system of commerce, of the legal name, and to live in honor, to live free, and to be self-determined as our Creator designed us.
Now, Santos, when you went through that whole process, did you sense that the judge in the corporate court, did you get the sense that he was clearly understanding your position and your challenge, or did you get the sense that he was oblivious?
I don't know. But I've seen deceit in all its colors before. I've seen it, and they are deceitful. They know they are pulling tricks out of the hat every time they trick someone. They are tricksters. They commit barratry. They commit personage. These are crimes up to 20 years jail. They are crimesters. They are the money changers that Jesus condemned. And they are a den of thieves. They are a den of thieves, a coven of witches, offspring of vipers, hypocrites, Pharisees, and they are murderous. And simply because of love of gain, they do this. They make money from the bonds. They've got their special funds, and they make money on the birth certificate bonds, and they don't care if they put a young innocent guy in jail for 3 or 4 years where he can get raped and murdered. Because they're getting all of these funds going into their little pockets. And they are the money changers, and they will go to jail. And I will privately prosecute every single individual who caused me harm through the legal system one day. They will never forget my name. As I said to the judge that got me 6 weeks for contempt of court, so called, I said to him, never forget my name. And he will never forget it, even when he is in hell for eternity, which he will be remembering my name, and that will be the name that will be persecuting him for as long as it takes. I don't know, maybe forgiveness from the universe will come to him, but I know personally that this man has done a lot of harm to a lot of my sovereign good friends. A lot of them have gone to jail through this one particular man who got me. I won't mention his name. I don't need to. He will never forget my name, and neither will any of the scum who harmed me. They will go to jail. I will prosecute their asses. They will be in jail, all of them, every single one of them.
Yeah, I was following the case. In fact, some of the commentary that you had done when you had left the courthouse, I guess it was back in April of, I want to say 2015. I had put it up on my other YouTube channel, and it was very interesting. In one of the clips, you were actually educating the news media on what this was all about, and I found that very interesting. Now, when do you have to address this again, or is there a date in which you have to re-engage with them?
Yeah, April 30th, brother. So keep that in mind, and anyone else listening who knows, you know, call it a remedy, call it a whatever. The best way to denounce them, notice them, and make it public. I'm going to make it public. I think I've got the best way, and I do believe it has to do with the birth certificate and handing it back to them. I don't want that paper. That is criminal paper. So I'm going to notice them with my own affidavit of truth or whatever, um, and I will be returning that piece of paper and noticing them of their crime. I do believe that the legal name is fraud, simply because we don't know how to go back to the private credit system which was once established through the republics. See, Australia is a republic,
Yep.
has been since 1919. We have been a republic since then, but of course, through all these parliamentary acts, we have been reduced to citizens of a country, which is the Vatican debt slave system. So I want to make history. If there's anyone out there who can help me or who knows how to prepare the notice of all notices and use me as a guinea pig, if you like, that'll be well and good. I appreciate that kind of help. Please contact me. My contact is available publicly on the internet. Otherwise, I have my own paperwork, which I will be putting to the court before that date, and I will be noticing them of their crimes and that they are illegitimate and demon worshippers, and that I am connected to Source and the Creator. And if they wish to do me further harm, that's their decision.
Okay. All right. Well, good enough. I know a lot of people were asking. They knew that I was going to have this show with you, and I was receiving emails from folks saying, "Could you ask Santos how this is going?" So, thank you so much for the update.
Well, just let me add there, this is the reason, Mike, why I've been so busy doing 1 or 2 shows every 2 or 3 days in Spanish, Italian, English, to get syncretism out on a new level, because I have a much, much higher level of information now, and I'm getting it out, and I'm doing so just in case things go rotten for me on April the 30th, and the demons decide to do another nasty. If they should, that's fine. I'm prepared for all eventualities and potentialities. I speak truth, and they know it, and they are afraid of this truth. And so I would like to reach out to all truthers out there, and there are so many good souls out there. We are a beautiful, beautiful creation. We are divine. We are all little Krishnas, little Christs. We are all Christ. We are all Christ-like. We are all children of the supreme creator, not the creator, the supreme prime creator, because the creator is a demiurge, and a demiurge is also a demon. And so this Jehovah of the Bible sometimes gets confused with that particular God of war. And so people are rendering service to that one. You don't want to do that. All service goes to the prime creator. No name. I call it Krishna, I call it Christ. I use those names because we are accustomed to naming things, but this one has no name, and it is who we are. We are this source, and we are connected and always will be qualitatively the same, one and the same. If you've seen me, you've seen the Father. And so this is what we are. We are a beautiful bunch of beings. We've been mind controlled and brainwashed into thinking that we are warmongers and murderous and fighters amongst ourselves, brother against brother, sister against sister, and all because of money and fractional reserve Rothschild blood money. And this is going to end, brother. I promise you. I will be declaring it from the rooftops. I will be churning out syncretism and truth until I stop. And I will never stop.
Now, Santos, when you talk about syncretism, for the sake of the audience, could you give us a little background and explanation of what exactly it is?
Yeah, simple. Just use the first four letters of the word sync to synchronize. We have synchronicity, synchronize, syncretism, synchronicity. Usually people confuse syncretism with synchronicity. Well, you'll find chronos, the timekeeper, hiding in the word synchronous. It's the timekeeper. So everything that syncs up in time is synchronous. Everything that syncs up in the head and in the heart is syncretism. Syncretism is the true way. It is the perennial philosophy. It is the grand arcanum. It is the prisca theologia. It is the divine truth of the holy science. And it syncs things. And so all things are one. Astrology is chemistry, is numerology, is gematria, is alchemy, and the list goes on. All of these are one science with different languages. Just as Japanese is a language, and we don't hate it because we don't understand it, we don't condemn it because we don't know it, just because we speak English. No one believes in English. You don't have to believe in English to know it and speak it. So you don't have to believe in astrology. Oh, do you believe in astrology, do you? Those rocks flying in space and stuff. Oh, do you believe? No, no decent astrologer who is a true transcendental scientist believes in astrology. They know it. It's a language. I speak Italian. I don't believe in it. I don't go around saying, "Oh, I believe in Italian. Oh, it's a true language." Well, it's only as true as good as the one that speaks it, is it not? So if an astrologer is deficient in his science and he discredits the science by his lack of knowledge and false interpretations, etc., does that discredit astrology? No, it doesn't. And so as Jesus condemned the lawyers, not law, for he came to fulfill the law, because lawyers are criminals, so he condemned lawyers, not the law. And
Right.
so in the Bible, and this is where half-cocked, half-witted individuals go out and say, "Oh, the Bible condemns astrology, doesn't it?" No, that just shows you haven't read the Bible, and I think you need to read the Bible for a change, rather than quoting idiots who misquote and parrot fashion repeat erroneous stupidities. The Bible condemns astrologers, and so it should. Why would it condemn astrology if it is based on astrology? This is what I say to people. It is based on astrology. 12 tribes of Israel, 12 apostles, 12 trees in the Garden of Eden, 12 bread loaves on the table of offering in the tabernacle, 12 this, 12 that, 12 precious stones on the ephod of the high priest of Israel. It's all astrology. The Bible is the greatest treatise on astrology in history.
A lot of people, they don't understand that. They don't understand that the Bible is based upon astrotheology, correct?
Absolutely correct.
How did you or when did you get into these studies, Santos? Because clearly your knowledge in this area is phenomenal. And a lot of people that I've spoken to have asked, how does he know so much about this stuff? When did he get into it? So when did you really dig in and start to understand astrotheology?
Probably many lifetimes, but in this lifetime, I was grounded in theological studies at the age of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, as far as I can remember. We used to, as a Jehovah's Witness, my mother and father used to take us to the book study. And in the book study, we used to study a little red book called Babylon the Great Has Fallen. And in that book, you have all the revelation beasts, the beast that came out of the water, the false prophet, the two-headed beast, the beast that speaks like a lamb, the harlot that sits on many waters. So I was firmly grounded in the Holy Scriptures since a little boy. I was a Jehovah's Witness for 30 years, knocking on people's doors, trying to save them to Jesus and the kingdom of God. I was a regular pioneer, a ministerial servant. I served in Portuguese-speaking congregation for 4 years, reaching all of the Angolans, Brazilians, Mozambicans, people from Madeira, the Azores, all over the city of Melbourne for 4 years. I was in the Italian-speaking congregation in northeast Victoria for 4 years as a ministerial servant, traveling around giving 1-hour speeches in all the congregations in Italian. I served in Spanish, a little bit of French, Portuguese. I was a linguist, so I used my languages to serve where there was greater need. I started reading the book The Two Babylons by Alexander Hislop in my teens, my late teens. That would have been 1983 when 82, 83 when I first started cutting my teeth on the deepest astrotheology in the universe. Alexander Hislop, The Two Babylons. When you cut your teeth on that book, then you know your shit.
Okay.
Okay. So, and I've been studying all the greats. I know Gerald Massey's works, Godfrey Higgins, Alvin Boyd Kuhn, James Price Morgan, Manly P. Hall, Thomas H. Burgoyne, the Reverend Robert Taylor, all of them. I've read Volney, Dupuy. They were the teachers, the astrotheological teachers to Thomas Paine and Thomas Jefferson. They would go across the Atlantic and teach them astrotheology because Napoleon and all of these guys were sending troops of scientists down to Egypt, and they discovered astrotheology. Bonaparte was a great fan of Dupuy and Volney. I've read all their works, upside down, backwards, inside out. The Bible, of the Bhagavad Gita, all of these works, man. I have had my nose in books all my life. And the reason I say this is because unless you do that left brain logical research and study from the great masters of antiquity and couple it with intuition, you ain't never going to get syncretism. And by the way, veganism. A meat eater cannot comprehend syncretism. They are materialists. This is a material way of eating. Here is the secret how to get syncretism. Don't eat animals. They are dead. They have blood and soul in them. And if you corrupt your mind and cerebrospinal nervous system and blood with the blood of animals, you will be condemned in all of the universe. There is no power that will be able to save you. They will forever be precluded from syncretism. Syncretism came to me in 2007 when I stopped eating meat. That's it. That's how it works. I'm giving away the secrets of all secrets.
Okay, I was going to ask you, so at one point you were a meat eater?
Yeah, all my life because
Okay.
of indoctrination. And this is why I have so much enthusiasm and fervor and vim and zeal to denounce this crime, because as Nikola Tesla said, and Pythagoras and Hippocrates, we will always be killing and jealous and envious and hating because we kill animals. When we stop as a race killing animals, we will have peace. All the greats have ever said this, and I don't know why people don't pay attention. They would rather pay attention to the meat industry voice pieces that tell you, oh, you get your iron in your meat, and only men eat meat and blah blah blah, and they always talk about green food as rabbit food. Well, I don't know. I do recall horses eating the same food as rabbits, and they have such a thing called horsepower. And horses run all day long and have stamina, and they eat only grass. So it's not rabbit food, it's horse food. If you eat horse food, you will have horse power. The elites push meat eating because it lowers the intelligence and keeps good little slaves on earth. Eat sheep, you are a sheeple. Eat cow, you are a chattel. If you eat fish, you will be schooled like a fish. If you eat goat, you will be a scapegoat, and you will be a sacrificial goat. Off you go, Christian soldiers. Off you go to war. We will make the uniforms as we've ever done before. Dog eaters is what Bhagavad Gita calls meat eaters. Dog eaters, and promises from the Lord Krishna's mouth himself. You eat animals, you will be eaten by animals in other incarnations. You will not pass this judgment. It will not happen. It cannot happen. This is the rule of the universe. What goes round comes round. Simple.
I saw a picture recently on Facebook. It's stuck in my head. It's seared into my brain. It was a farm, pig farm, and they had these pigs in these cages that were formed around their bodies so that the pigs, they couldn't even move, they couldn't walk. And just the treatment alone of these animals is horrific. And I think people, to stop eating meat, my view is, if you get that imagery in your head, and a lot of people want to avoid it for obvious reasons, but if you take a look at how this really goes down, it's not a hard decision to back off it, to get off it, and not eat meat.
We may think we're climbing an uphill battle, but I tell you something, the universe is a strange place, brother. And there have been cataclysms and destructions and Armageddons and Gotadamaruns in the past, and there will be in the future. When a stubborn, stiff-necked people continue and persist in their evil and filth, the universe has a way of obliterating them. And you watch and see what will happen to the meat industry in the next moments of our universal timeline, brother. Don't be surprised if some fiery force from the universe comes down and extinguishes all these imbeciles who are murdering their brother animal family to sustain their greed. Only the ones that awaken will survive what's coming. And I'm telling you, brother, I've read all the great books, and should they persist in their ways, they will be obliterated. And as the scripture says, there will be a day you will look for the evil one to the left and to the right, and you will not find his place, for he will be extinguished by the Supreme Lord.
Well, like I told you, Santos, before we started, the show is fair game. Whatever it is you want to talk about, you talk about it. These are your perspectives and your viewpoints, and you have every right to express them. If people don't like them, they don't like them. Well, let me ask this then. The flat earth theory is a topic where you have been very, very upfront and very bold about. And I was wondering if maybe you can take us a little bit through how you got there, how your attention and your focus went to the flat earth.
Yeah, well, because I'm a truther, it's my way, it's my path to examine all things and scrutinize them and question all things, because I'm using my own mind.
Right.
You see? So I let my mind research. I let my heart see, and my pineal gland, and my spirit, and my soul. Here's one way, and only one way, which I need to share for any intelligent being who has intelligence and ears to hear and eyes to see. How can it be possible that we are on a spinning globe? If you can get a camera and take time-lapse picture of the North Pole, and you will see a bullseye, perfect star trails of a bullseye shape. How can that be if we are rotating and orbiting? So that explains the rotation, sure, granted. But it only explains the rotation if the individual is standing at the North Pole. You can't be taking time-lapse photos from Italy or America or anywhere and get that bullseye. That bullseye is proof that the stars are turning and the Earth is not turning whatsoever. If we were rotating and orbiting, as they say, then what you would see is all of those stars would be all going in a sine wave fashion, and not in a circular fashion, but in a sine wave fashion. Why? Because the rotation would give that sine wave its wave amplitude, because it's going around in circles. So you're rotating on the Earth and you'll see this bullseye. But When you factor in the orbit, 67,000 miles of velocity per hour, well then that sine wave or that circle has to go linear, doesn't it? It must go linear because you are orbiting around the sun. So where is that wave that those people taking those time-lapse pictures should be getting only a sine wave. They should not be getting circles. And then of course they point to the fact that the southern stars do the same thing. Yes, they do. And again, proving that we are standing on terra firma.
Yeah.
No movement. See Michelson-Morley experiment, Sagnac experiment, and George Airy's failure experiment. 3 scientists of the last century who proved beyond a shred of a doubt that the earth does not move. It does not move. Only the heavens move. Only the heavens move. That's a little bit of a snippet. Copernicus himself said, and he said frankly, in Revolution of the Celestial Spheres in 1543, he said, the hypothesis of the movement of the earth is only one which is useful to explain phenomena, but it should not be considered as absolute truth. Albert Einstein, what did he say about his hocus pocus, honky shonky wonky, dodgy bodgy bogus relativity theory? Well, he said this before on his deathbed, I think. Nothing remains of my entire castle in the air, gravitation theory included, and the rest of modern physics. In other words, he was saying it's all a crock.
Yeah.
We've been deceiving people with utter stupidity. All of this hocus pocus, Big Bang, quantum physics, blah, 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 gravity, globe, relativity, evolution, monkey men theory. This is all just to pull us away from our intelligent grand designer and creator, prime creator of the universe, who did all things deliberately, in order, out of love and intelligence and brilliance for our sustenance, for our beauty, for our wisdom and prosperity. And we go listening to these clowns that jump on their soapboxes and are promoted in the Rothschild media and magazines and newspapers and television and all of their demonic media network. There's only one thing that's going to save the world, and that is syncretism. Pure and simple, syncretism.
Now, it seems to me, and let me see if you have the same opinion, that the flat earth is reaching some level of critical mass, because we're seeing more and more stuff come out now from the mainstream media and mainstream science where there's a lot of backtracking taking place now. And it seems to me that the people that want to keep the heliocentric model in place are starting to get a little nervous, I guess is what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, of course, they're lying through their teeth. These are shills. These are pseudoscientists. They know nothing about transcendental science, which is in our scriptures. See, I teach transcendental science directly from the Bible, from the Vedas, from all of the ancient holy texts. And this is what they are desecrating with their stupidity. And of course, they're lying through their teeth. Now their backs are up against the wall because they're being caught out of the mouths of babes. People who are unskilled in these sciences are coming out and seeing the truth with their own eyes. We don't have to believe these idiots anymore. It's just the truth is becoming evident with our own intelligence. There's a great scientist called Ken Wheeler. Ken Wheeler is absolute gem, and he just debunks all of this rubbish about gravity. And he's been on the case. He's been on the case for the last couple of years. Here's the website. It's called Theoria Apophasis. Theoria is Theoria. New word apophasis is APOPHASIS. And have a look at the video called Magnetism. And have a look at his others. He's already debunked these scientists saying that they've discovered gravity. This guy potentially is the only man alive that I know of that can explain magnetism and all things energetic in the universe. Now, if you really want to understand all things energetic in the universe, this guy has got the goods. And I'd be spreading this website all over the planet, because we will eliminate these fools, knock them off their soapboxes, and shut them up forevermore, and so that only intelligence remains and persists on this plane, as it should be.
Well, I'm going to add the link into the show notes. This question for you, and actually this question was presented to me by a couple of people. The debate is that astrotheology, the zodiac, does not work with the flat earth. What is your take on that?
Astrotheology does not depend on a flat earth, ball earth, or any kind of earth. It depends on the sine wave of the sun. They haven't watched any of my videos, and they haven't seen that I have based all of my presentations on the sine wave and the ecliptic of the sun. As long as there is a sun and there is an ecliptic, astrotheology works, period. And so all you have to do when you watch my presentations is change your perspective from heliocentrism to geocentrism, and everything that I've ever published stands 100% accurately on its own merits, and is accurate, and is trustworthy, and is truth. Nothing has changed, just the perspective from heliocentrism to geocentrism. All of my astrotheology works. Astrology works better on a flat plane, as I've already explained in many of my presentations I've already done, so I don't have to go into it here. I do not have to go into it and repeat it to individuals. I've done it to the world. I've published already how it is that the flat plane Earth works better with astrology, astrotheology, chemistry, syncretism, the lot. It works much better because it's true. And since the heliocentric buffoonery of the globe is false, it's untrue, therefore it doesn't work.
What about the question, Santos, and I know you've gotten this question many times, I've received this question many times, why does it even matter if the Earth is flat? What does it mean? I mean, so what? It's flat. What does that mean? Why is that important?
Yeah, well, it's interesting. I wonder whether these people think. I don't think they. I'm pretty sure their pineal gland is totally out of action. Their heart chakra is totally blocked. If the institutionalized globe theory is proposed to our little children in classes, and they are lying to our children in classes to such an extent, where will they ever stop with their lies? Fancy that we have to even answer that question. Fancy that.
Yeah, I mean, what I tell folks is, look, if they're going to lie about where you exist and live, then everything is game. Yeah,
Yes.
everything. And that's what people don't get. I mean, this is how trapped and confined people's minds are. It almost gets to the point where it's a little scary that people can't connect the dots on that.
Oh, it's very scary, mate. Look at all the other stuff they're doing. When these people open their mouths, just ask yourself, what else do you think they're doing that is just so decrepit?
What about this dynamic, Santos? Now, I have personal experience with this, and it was a little disturbing to me. I have seen other movements, as an example, the geoengineering chemtrail movement, as an example, of which I've done a lot of activism with, especially with the radio show, where many folks are in the movement, and I'm talking about folks that have name recognition, are completely trashing the flat earth. Have you experienced the same type of things?
There's only evidence to suggest to show that we live on a flat plane. There's never been a shred ever in history for supporting the globe. Not a shred. There's nothing. They've got nothing, and yet they will back it up. They are shills.
Now, some of them are not denying the flat earth. What they're saying is that it's a distraction from more important issues that need to be dealt with.
Well, that's because they are distracted. How can any falsehood that you expose and reveal be a distraction?
How much flack have you caught from your position? Because you are really pushing the envelope and really being very, very upfront and bold about this. So I would assume that a lot of people that used to be connected to you or tied to you or friends and so on have either jumped ship or you threw them overboard.
Nah. Anyone who turns their back on syncretism, as Jesus said, he who has his hand on the plow and looks back is not worthy of the kingdom of God. These are showing themselves to be materialists by dropping off the truth, the true path, and by sticking with their ego and their falsehoods and their lies. I don't want anything to do with them. I don't have such like friends. The ones that are with me to my left and to my right and standing with me shoulder to shoulder, these ones, they know who they are, and they have not deviated from the path.
Now, I watched a recent, or I should say, I listened to a recent interview where you had said that you were living, and this is tied into what you just said, you're living a much more simple life, trying to be more true to yourself without having all of the fanfare and everything else going on around you and so on. So, what changes did you make specifically?
Well, I've gone off the grid. I live on a permaculture farm with people who have the same ideals, the same truth as I do. Our idea that we're going to bring to the world is, our model is syncretism, off the grid, permaculture, raw food, vegan, detox, ashrams. And we have established the first one in history here on the Sunshine Coast in Queensland, Australia. And it will be a hub for all syncretists forevermore in the future. I will be inviting syncretists from all around the world to come here and to be instructed in syncretism and to bring it to the ends of the earth. And this will be the hub. Syncretism's back and it's here to stay.
Now, let me ask this then. Based upon everything we spoke about so far, I mean, obviously we have not everybody's rowing the boat in the same direction. Let me just phrase it that way. So then what is your assessment of where the awakening is at? I mean, do you see changes happening at a rate and pace that is meaningful, or are you seeing that many times we're in neutral or stuck in the mud?
A bit of both, brother, but it matters not, because the universe knows how to sort out the weed from the chaff, okay? And this is what's going on at the moment. The angels and the archangels and the seraphim and the ophanim and the cherubim and all of our brothers in the heavenly places, the stars, the sun, all the glorious beings that serve and worship and are devoted to the supreme being, they are sorting out the weeds. There are two potentialities. There is the potential for all to awaken and everything will be good, no need for a destruction, or intervention will happen and they will be obliterated. And this has happened many times before, and people don't heed the warnings because they don't read. They don't like to read those books where it talks about such like destruction, because they know that their hearts are putrid and full of every kind of evil, and they're not inclined in the slightest to walk on the path of truth, the true path. And so they don't read those books, do they? Thinking that by doing such, like a little child who hides its face and pretends that you can't see him, you know, he's got his hands over his eyes and you can't see me, I'm hiding. So they think they're going to hide from this destruction that is coming.
You're essentially saying that there's going to be a divine reset button that's going to get pushed at some point?
Oh yeah, just read all the ancient works. The Bible's replete with destructions and how they happen and the reasons why, because of meat eating, drunkenness, fornication, loose conduct, gambling, anger, violence, hatred, pedophilia, and all of these things. And I mean, you just take a look at half of these people. All the quality of their life is diminished severely anyway. You know, they don't have much of a quality of life. They are materialists. There's no spirituality. They are suffering constantly. The only way that they can alleviate their suffering is through alcohol, drugs. Sometimes it might be marijuana. You know, simple as that. You'll see them chain smoking. They're always smoking. Or why? Why do you need to do such a thing? That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, these substances are handy, but not to be abused. You know, if anything, just a small quantity every day. If you need a little bit of alcohol, a little bit of wine for the digestion, you know, a sip here and a sip there, no harm, no problem. But people are abusing these substances. No substance should be abused. Nothing. You know, again, they resort to loose conduct sexually to alleviate their frustration, and this is bad practice. The beautiful gift from heaven, which is sex, is not to be abused in such a way.
Yeah.
This is a mechanism of relaying love and reciprocating love. It's not a lustful mechanism at all. And so this is what's going on. People are resorting to these things. Rest assured, brother, all the ones who are half-truthers and who are materialists and teaching half-truths out there, they are on this. I'm describing them. They are full of addictions. Rest assured, full of addictions. They have no control of their bodies. They are tyrannized. They live in a state of tyranny. They're not happy if they've done harm and caused harm to others through gossip and through malicious, naysaying and smiting of others. These are deviates. They're deviant, and they put themselves on soapboxes and call themselves truthers. There's not many truthers out there, brother.
Santos, what about the premise that this is a yuga that we're in, that it's this very destructive period or cycle? Where are you with those types of explanations as to why we have so much destruction and dysfunction in the world today?
Yeah, well, it is partially the Yuga cycles, and it is partially our own fault. In the commentary on the Dream of Scipio by Macrobius, 4th century philosopher and Neoplatonist, he clearly explains that some of us have drunk exceedingly from the cup of lethal, or the cup of Bacchus, in excess, and therefore we have forgotten our divinity of former days. And so when we incarnate through the Tropic of Cancer, he says, as we slide down to the Tropic of Capricorn in our incarnatory process, we come to Leo, where the Holy Grail is, where Crater, the deacon constellation of Leo, is, and we drink from this cup, the Holy Grail. And this is the cup of Lethe, of forgetfulness. And so he says, some forget the divinity, and this is why we have opinions about the Creator and about God, because some have drank in excess of what they should have drank, and they have forgotten more. They're true. So there's cycles everywhere, the cycle within and the cycle without. So the cycle without is the cycle of necessity, called the cycle of precession of the equinoxes. And so now we are in the age of Aquarius. Formerly, for 2,000 years, we were in the age of Pisces, ruled by Jupiter, Zeus, Jesus, baptizing us in Piscean mutable water. And so the water emotional element is the false baptism, whereas the spirit air of Aquarius is the spiritus, the pneuma of the Greeks, the Holy Spirit. And so we are being baptized now in a different Yuga cycle. This is now the Golden Age. It's a mini Golden Age that is upon us, and the Iron Age has passed. And so we should be discarding all of these Iron Age teachings like gravity, globe, relativity, evolution, Darwinian evolution, Hegelian dialectic, Big Bang theories, and all of these theories. We should be discarding them. We are more intelligent than this.
And these cycles have a transition period, is that correct? I mean, it's not the light switch is on, the light switch is off.
No, it's there are cusps. For instance, the age of Aquarius was ushered in on the 5th of February at 6 a.m. 1962. And so what happened then was Aquarius began for 50 years, a 50-year cusp all the way up till the 21st of December 2012. So that was the 50-year cusp of Pisces and ending and Aquarius beginning. And now for 3 years we've had Pisces has ceased to influence us. And how we know that the age of Aquarius was ushered in on that date at 6 a.m. the 5th of February, and you can punch this in any astrological site and you will see all the visible planets, Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Sun, Venus, Mercury, Moon, all in a stellium in Aquarius, all within the space of 18 degrees in the sign of Aquarius, rising, altogether rising in the ascendant sign of Aquarius on the 5th of February 1962. This is the surefire way of knowing that we have been introduced to the age of Aquarius. And it began then, and it has instigated a new age. The Iron Age, the Kali Yuga, has ended, and we are definitely in the Golden Age. But I'm calling out to all the transcendental spiritualists out there who have a spiritualized life, mind, heart, etc. And they will support syncretism, no doubt. No doubt. There is a splitting of the ways here now. The transcendentalists and the spiritualists on one side, and all the buffoons on the other side.
I have one last question for you because you've been very, very generous with your time. And I heard you discuss this. I think it was on a Vinnie Eastwood show going back months ago. So you may not remember the conversation. But you talked about souls incarnating on Earth and that there are many souls that are going to continue to incarnate here as part of a karma, as part of not learning lessons, not developing. And these are my words, I'm paraphrasing. So I wanted to get your perspective on why we incarnate here. Why do we reincarnate and come to Earth?
Well, okay, it is a planet. It is a prison planet of sorts, but in a kind way. It's not a prison planet in such a way that we can't escape it. The archons, the 7 archons, Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, etc., archangels, cosmocrators, and leaders of the way, they are our brothers, and they are in charge like wardens of a prison, of this prison planet. And they only keep us here if we do not deserve to escape here. And so it is a prison planet, but you are a prisoner of your own will and of your own stupidity. The way to ascend is simple: devotion to the Supreme Being. That's it. That's it. There's no other way. You can't acquire salvation through prosperity consciousness. You can't through speculative philosophy, empirical philosophy, or research. You can only devote yourself and serve the supreme, truthful, beautiful being of the universe. It's the only way. No trivium. Trivium ain't going to save you. You know, studying about fallacies and all of this hocus pocus. None of that. All of these half-truthers standing on their soapboxes, they are half-cocked Mayavadis. A Mayavadi is a teacher of illusions. They are deluded themselves, bound by the doctrine of illusion, and they are the blind leading the blind. Only get your information from a transcendentalist. What is a transcendentalist? The Neoplatonist school, the Hermetist school, not the Aristotelians. Do not put your trust in man. Proverbs 3:5. And so, yes, it is a prison planet. And why do souls come here? Well, some of them, like you and I, have been sent here to teach the rest and help them. You know, extend an arm, a hand out to them. And some have been punished. According to the Hermetica, according to Bhagavad Gita, there's 2 ways that souls come to the earth. And one is for them to come as savior-type individuals, to extend a hand and help them and enlighten them. And others have come as a punishment, to be punished by birth, death, cycles of suffering, and to see if the good Lord can't, help them to snap out of it like the prodigal son and return to their kingly palaces in the heavens. Store your treasure in heaven, where thieves and liars cannot steal, and where moth and rust do not consume. And so the fact is, we are here, and our souls are here, whether it was because we were punished or we came willingly. We have a task, and the task is to spiritualize our existence rather than stay in the materialist, mundane mold. These people will be punished. They will be punished brutally. It will be horrible. There will be their weeping and the gnashing of their teeth. You see?
Yep.
The scriptures say when they see the Lord coming in the clouds, they will be weeping and gnashing their teeth. And they will be saying to this crag, please cover over us, and to this hole in the earth, please hide us from the coming wrath of the Lord. Because the Lord will punish those who do not want to know him or her. You see? Some like to put their head in the ground like the ostrich, and they like to think that they're going to get away with not knowing their divine godship in the heavens, because that's who God is. It's you. It ain't nobody else. There's only you, and there's only expansions of you, and Krishna is what you are, an expansion of Krishna, which is the name that some give to this prime creator. Some call it Christ, some Jehovah. That's fine. They're only names. We know that you cannot name this being, and this being is of the substance that you are of, and we are qualitatively one and the same with God. We are not qualitatively the same with God, and we never will be, and we never should be, because we are forever on a journey, and we are forever coming into our Godship.
Well, this has been a great discussion, Santos. It really has been.
Yeah, look, it's probably one of the most aggressive ones I've ever done. I'm sorry to have done that on your show, Mike, but please, I want to assure the listeners, please let this not, the way I speak, discredit Mike. He's a gentleman, would never speak the way I do. And I wish, as the scriptures say, that all will be saved. And so we have to start drawing the line and separating the materialists from the transcendentalists, folks. It's time for salvation of everything that is going lost and appears to be perishing. We can do it. We are the ones we've been waiting for. And I thank you, Mike, for this opportunity. We can do this, and we will.
You had the floor to speak your mind, and that you did. And where can our listeners learn more about your work?
I would go to my YouTube channel, Mr. Astrotheology. One word, M-R Astrotheology. So Mr. Astrotheology, and my website is universaltruthschool.com. And you can go to also my Facebook page where I post everything, and I'm on TSU, and also faceuni.com, which is an alternative to Facebook, which is basically just Tracebook. And as the founder of Facebook said, Facebook users are idiots. So yes, I am an idiot for being on Facebook. I recognize that, but I also realize that it's a place to reach a lot of my beautiful sleeping brothers and sisters, which I care for and love very much.
And that concludes another Sage of Quay interview, and I hope you enjoyed the discussion as much as I did. Links to my guests' websites and social media are listed in the show notes below. And as always, I'd like to thank everyone for listening and visiting the blog. You can get to the blog by typing in sageofquayradio.blogspot.com, or simply head over to our hub website at sageofquay.com. Also, if you get a moment, please visit laboroflovemusic.com to listen to my album, Leaving Dystopia. And remember, live in truth and always serve creation. It's really that simple. See everyone next week. Be safe, enjoy, and God bless.